بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Inshallah, we are going to start our sessions on Islamic theory of education. What we are going to do is I am going to talk about significance of knowledge and teaching and learning in Islam. So knowledge is ilm, teaching ta'aleem, and learning ta'allum. So أهمية العلم والتعليم والتعلم في الإسلام. This would be in two sessions. One based on the Quran and one based on Hadith. I mean two sections, because we have to be fast, so maybe we cannot have enough time, so we have to compress. We would then have a discussion about what is knowledge. What do we mean by knowledge? Because there are different ways, different senses in which the term knowledge is used. And then, inshallah, we will talk about aims of Islamic education. What are the aims of Islamic education? What do we want to achieve? We will talk about the things that relate to our character, things that relate to our desires, things that relate to our attitudes, to our practices. So all these things, inshallah. Then, in particular, we will focus, inshallah, on some major practices. Of course, we had 12 sessions last time, so this is based on what I taught in the previous course. Now we have less time, but we will try, and I will give you also the, inshallah, full text for the previous one, so you can read yourself. Also, they are available online.
So we don't need to write anything?
No, you don't need to write, unless I say something from outside. So, inshallah, soon you will be given handout, then you can see what is there, what is not there. But hopefully, inshallah, most of the things should be here. So, if we want to understand the significance of knowledge in Islam, you can find many things in the Quran and Hadith, but also in Islamic philosophy, Islamic theology, Islamic mysticism about knowledge. My own conclusion is this. I say it at the beginning. I hope it becomes clear little by little. My conclusion is this. Knowledge is one of the greatest, or perhaps, and then in brackets I say, I can argue for it. So when I say perhaps, it's not without argument. I can argue for it. Maybe some people agree or not, but I don't see any reason why they shouldn't agree. But just to be precautious, I say perhaps the greatest quality of God. My understanding is the greatest quality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is knowledge, and everything else goes back to knowledge. Even Arsh of Allah stands for knowledge. Even life of Allah goes back to knowledge. Although they say it goes back to knowledge and power and will, but finally goes back to knowledge. I think knowledge is the greatest quality, but at least we can say one of the greatest qualities. And also, any intelligent being who wants to move towards perfection. This is not in the text, maybe you can write down. Even many Muslim philosophers, especially people who are what we call masha'un, peripatetic philosophers like Ibn Sina and his school of philosophy, when they define insan kamil, insan kamil, the perfect man or the most perfect man, they say insan kamil is a human being that has developed an understanding of the world which is similar to the world. In other words, they say perfection is sayruratul insan alaman ayniyan. That's one. That's one. If we can distribute. This will be, inshallah, 190 pages. Inshallah. So it's not for all the course. This is just maybe for. I'm repeating. Yeah. So, Sayruratul Insan Alaman Ayniyan Mudahiyan. Afan. Sayruratul Insan Alaman Dhihniyan. ذهنيا مضاهيا للعالم العيني. Maybe I can use this. سيرورة الإنسان عالما ذهنيا مضاهيا للعالم العيني. This is عالم, not عالم, yeah? سيرورة الإنسان عالما ذهنيا means a human being becomes a mental world, universe, similar to the external world. So whatever is outside, if you can understand and bring to your mind, then you are a perfect human being.
What kind of outside?
Means anything which is a real world. In philosophy we talk about, wujud is either zihni or kharaji. So the real world, the objective world. There is a beautiful poem in Farsi. Haram kas زدانش برد توشه ای جهانی است بنشسته در گوشه ای. Whoever has got a provision of knowledge. هر آن کس ز دانش برد توشه‌ای. In Arabic means من تزود شیئا من العلم. جهانی است بنشسته در گوشه‌ای. He is a universe sitting in a corner. وعالم جلس في زاویه. هر آن کس دانش برد توشه‌ای جهانی است بنشسته در گوشه‌ای. So we should not underestimate ulama. Oh, this man is very old and weak. No, he is a world sitting there. Pardon? I don't know, remember who is the poet. So, I am not saying that I agree 100% with this. And I am not also saying I disagree, but I'm saying that you must know that there are many philosophers who say that perfection of human beings is a matter of how much they know. Okay? How much they know. Even in Greek philosophy, Socrates. Socrates had the idea that the only problem that human beings have is ignorance. Ignorance is the root of all problems. And therefore, knowledge is the greatest thing to have. Aristotle had disagreement with Socrates because Aristotle had the idea that we may know and still we may have some moral problems. So there is issue of moral weakness. Then when you know something is bad and still you do it, or something is good and still you don't do it. But then there are lots of discussions here on what we mean by knowledge. So those who support Socrates, they say there are some types of knowledge that if you have them, you would really be good. It's different from just knowing something as theories. In any case, we don't want to go to that discussion right now. Inshallah, we will have a discussion later about what we mean by knowledge. But just I want to tell you, when I say knowledge is a great or maybe even we can say the greatest, but at least a great quality for any intelligent being, there is a big philosophical tradition behind it. I don't know, have you seen the book Insan Kamil by Ayatollah Mutahari? It's a very good book. He mentions different theories about Insan Kamil, and you find it in that book. Also, he has a book on Ta'lim wa Tarbiyat in Islam. It's a series of lectures. In that also he mentions. It's a very good book. So, if you look at page 8, knowledge in the Quran. When Allah introduces himself, one of the qualities that the Quran emphasizes on is Allah's knowledge. There are many, many verses, hundreds of verses about Allah's knowledge. We have Alim, we have Alim, we have Allam, we have A'lam. So we have Khabir, we have Latif. There are many different words and adjectives used to refer to Allah's knowledge, and sometimes also as a verb, like Ya'lamu. So sometimes it's adjective, sometimes it's a verb. Hundreds of verses. So there are two reasons for this. One, knowledge is an important quality that a creator, a Lord should have. Can you imagine a creator who runs the world without knowledge? Is it not possible? knowledge is a requirement for creating, maintaining, and sustaining the world. Yeah? And anything good also is the same. Even for us, if you want to set up a school, you need knowledge to set it up. You need knowledge to maintain it. You need knowledge also to sustain it. Sustain, I mean, to keep it growing by giving nutrition and cultivating. Point 2. Yes.
Are we using the word knowledge in a very general term at the moment?
At the moment, yes. Little by little, then I will tell you what we mean by knowledge. The second reason why so much emphasis is put on knowledge. For our connection to God, it is also important that we know that He knows. So not only for His task or His job as creator, sustainer, He has to have knowledge. Also for our relation with God, it's very important that we know He has knowledge. There are lots of implications for that. For example, if you know that He is aware of everything that you do. قُلْ اعْمَلُوا فَسَيَرَى اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ. If you act and you know Allah is seeing, or أَلَمْ يَعْلَمْ بَأَنَّ اللَّهَ يَرَى, when you know that Allah is aware, then you become very careful. And also at the same time, you are very hopeful, because no matter how much problem you have, you know God is seeing you. As God said to Moses and Harun, go to Fir'aun, إِنَّنِي مَعَكُمَا أَسْمَعُ وَأَرَى. I am with you, hearing and watching you. So you will be careful. At the same time, you will be hopeful, because Allah is with you. And those who are criminals, they will be worried. They try to be, controlling themselves. If you are a good person, you will be happy that God is watching you. Yeah? Good people, when they see, for example, police, they are not worried. They are happy, because police stops criminals. But criminals, when they see police, they are not happy. So, for our connection to God, it is also important that we know that He knows. We know that He knows everything we do, even if we do it in private. He knows our intentions, our past, our future. It is important for us to know that He knows the future. Otherwise, how can He help us? So He knows the past, He knows the future, He knows everywhere. He knows this to the extent that the Quran says that one of the reasons for creation is to make human beings aware of God's knowledge and power. You are familiar with this verse from Surah Talaq. Last verse of Surah Talaq, chapter 65, verse 12. Allahu alladhi khalaqa sab'a samawat wa min al-ardi mithlahunna yatanazzalu al-amru baynahunna lita'lamu. Allah created 7 skies, 7 earth, and whatever comes from a sky to the earth, why? لِتَعْلَمُوا, so that you know. So one of the reasons for creation is so that you know. Yeah? Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, commenting on this ayah, مَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. What did he say? He said, أَيْ لِيَعْرِفُونَ. لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created jinns nor human beings except to serve me, to worship me. Imam Sadiq means except to know me. Because knowledge of God is prerequisite for serving. Here Allah says He created 7 skies and 7 earth. All the affairs come down from the sky to the earth. Why? لِتَعْلَمُوا, so that you know. أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. You know 2 things. Of course, there might be other things, but 2 things are mentioned here. You know that He is capable for doing everything. أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Second, وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ أَحَاطَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عِلْمًا. You know that He has encompassing, all-embracing knowledge. So there are 2 things which are very important for us to know. God's knowledge and God's power. Okay? Why Allah has created all this? So that you know. لِتَعْلَمُ. Creation is at least particularly to know 2 things. I don't want to say there are only these 2 reasons. There can be other reasons. There can be hierarchy of reasons. We don't want to talk now about philosophy of creation, but at least there are 2 reasons there. You know that He is capable of doing everything, and also you know that He has embraced everything with His knowledge. Is it clear? Everything clear? I feel a little bit you are not comfortable. Is there any reason? Everyone is comfortable? Fine? Yeah. So we said there can be different reasons for creation, and also there can be hierarchy of reasons, because when we talk about philosophy of creation, we say there are different ranks. At one point, for example, you say God created us to serve Him or worship Him. Sometimes we say God created us to know Him. Sometimes we say God created us to become close to Him. So these are not contradicting. There is a hierarchy of reasons. Okay. Among the reasons, there are 2 at least. Thus, to be a creator, sustainer, and Lord, He needs knowledge. And it is necessary for us to be aware that He has knowledge, as this enhances our relationship with Him. To know that He has knowledge enhances our relation with Him. Another important verse is أَلَمْ يَعْلَمْ بَأَنَّ اللَّهَ يَرَى. To know that God knows what we do, what we say, is very important. Unfortunately, we know this, but we keep forgetting. Yeah? Yeah.
Allah will put us in hell or will put us in Jannah. That's the thing that you know. But we want them to understand that this is for us here. My little kids is probably I'm giving all the lessons to children. I need something strong to give that child to know what Allah is.
Sure. So that's another issue. So what we want to say is what we want to achieve in Islamic education. And to begin with, we say the significance of knowledge. But then how we are going to make a package of this for every age, that's another issue. You cannot say everything to everyone. Yes? So you have to prepare and you have to know what to say at which age. For example, when we are talking to very, very little children, I don't think we should talk about hell. When it's a very little child, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, maybe even 6 years, we don't need to talk about hell. We can talk about heaven. We can talk about positive things, because there is no insistence in them for doing bad things. A little child is very honest and innocent and pure. Yeah? So you can just give them encouragement by saying Allah has angels, and these angels report to him whatever good people do, whatever kindness you show, and you will always be supported, you will be rewarded. Just start with this. Then later you talk about, for example, punishment. Even you don't need to explain all different types of punishments, little by little. But what is important is, from young age, we should put in their minds love for knowledge, love for learning, for reading, for asking questions, for meeting teachers, scholars. This is very important. Our children, in the same way that they grow with the love for, food and chocolate and games, they should grow with love for books, for taking notes, for writing, for reading. We should put this into their, like diet. This is very important. If from very young age they develop habit of reading and asking questions, then inshallah in future also they will be like that. So what we say has to be then translated into policies for teaching. And inshallah, sisters are going to do some of this with you in the subjects they cover. But you yourself also can do this, especially if few teachers from the same school or even different schools or madrasas, you can have weekly session with each other, 1 hour or maybe every other week, and say we want to discuss how to present. Because how to present, especially for children, is not less important than what to present. For adults, maybe they are mature enough not to bother too much about presentation, yeah? But children, how to present is very important for them. Maybe even more important than what you present. Okay. So, I repeat again, when you talk for very young children, refer to the positive aspects of Allah's knowledge. That He knows every good thing you do. He knows when you help your brother, your sister, you do, something good, He knows. He is going to reward you. Everything is registered in your file, like this. To know that Allah knows what we do and say is essential for our spirituality and for being alert. One of the important things in spirituality is to be alert. Because ghafla, to be heedless, is a big problem. Normally, muttaqin, mu'minin, normally when they are alert, they are okay. But when we are not alert, shaitan attacks. Yeah? إِنَّ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا إِذَا مَسَّهُمْ طَائِفٌ مِّنَ الشَّيْطَانِ تَذَكَّرُوا فَإِذَا هُمْ مُبْصِرُونَ. Those who are pious, when roaming, because there are shaitans which are roaming, patrol, they go around. So when they see you are heedless, they attack you. But Quran says muttaqeen, when they are touched by these roaming shaitan, tadhakkaru. They realize this is satanic touch. فَإِذَا هُمْ مُبْصِرُونَ. They become able to see. But if you are heedless, even if you are muttaqi, but if you are heedless, shaitan can attack. Okay. So, to be alert is very important. I go to the next paragraph. The Quran also points to God as Sami'. Not only God is Alim, He is watching us and He is hearing us, Sami'. What does it mean He is Sami'? Yeah, what does it mean He can hear? It means He has knowledge of what is said. Not only He can see, means he doesn't have eyes, means He has knowledge of what can be seen. He has knowledge of what can be heard. So whatever you say or other people say, He is aware of that. So it means knowledge, but a specific knowledge. Knowledge about what can be said, what can be heard is called Sami'. Because if we just think that God is aware in general way, may not have the same impact. You must know His knowledge is of all the particular things as well, all the details. His knowledge is much more than someone who is watching us. You know, when a human being is watching you, you are very careful. Yeah? When a human being is watching you, you are very careful. But a human being can only watch you at surface. Imagine if there is someone who watches you, but at the same time is able to watch your mind and your heart. Because when Allah is watching us, He can scan our mind and heart as well. Even things that we don't notice about our heart, He knows. He is alimun bidhat as-sudur. He even knows what is in our chest, in our heart. Yeah? Yahulu bayna al-mar'i wa qalbih. He can stand between you and your heart. So even before you know what is in your heart happening, He knows. So we should know His knowledge is very, very detailed, very deep, very comprehensive, very strong. In philosophy or kalam, the way they speak about God's knowledge is normally giving you the impression that the knowledge is very general. But the way in the scripture, in the Quran and Hadith talk about knowledge, you get the impression that it's very, very detailed. Because, there is a limit in what you can learn through philosophy. Because in philosophy, normally we have general concepts. For example, when you study philosophy, God is what? God is absolute being, or is wajibul wujud, necessary being, or the prime mover, as Aristotle said, prime mover, unmoved mover, the cause of the causes, uncaused cause. These are the things that we learn about God in philosophy. But when you read dua, when you read Quran or munajat or this type of things, there is more intimacy. There is more personal relation with God. Yeah? No philosopher can talk to God like munajat Sha'baniyah, or like Du'a Arafah, or like Du'a Abu Hamza. Not because philosophy is bad, because philosophy deals with general concepts. There are limits for that. Yeah. So philosophy gives you a strong, concrete house, but there is no furniture. There is no decoration. There is no worms. So you make a concrete house with philosophy, but fill it with what? With spirituality that you get from Quran and Hadith. Okay, we go to page 11. So after talking about the difference between what religion tells us and what philosophy tells us, then I say, not only does God have knowledge. So far we have been talking about his knowledge and the way he knows. Also the Quran says he's a teacher. Did you find it? Page 11, line 9. Did you find it? Yes? Not only does God have knowledge, but he is also a teacher. Okay. Yours is different. Sorry, mine is 11. Okay. Page 9. Yes. Not only does God have knowledge, but he is also a teacher. We have a knowledgeable God who is a teacher. Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran. Maybe when it is printed, the order is damaged. Yes, be careful. Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran. This is why I told you this is draft, so we have to check all these things. خلق الإنسان علمه البيان. Yesterday someone was talking about this. Yeah? Yesterday someone talked about this verse. You remember? About Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran خلق الإنسان. Yes, I was speaking. Yesterday I told you about this ayah that Allama al-Quran is mentioned before Khalaq al-Insan. Although, if you want to observe the timing, God should say Khalaq al-Insan, Allama al-Quran. But teaching Quran is so important that he says Allama al-Quran, Khalaq al-Insan, then Allamahu al-Bayan, again teaching. So between two, both of them ta'aleem. So ta'aleem, khalq ta'aleem. Then I have explained why ta'aleem is so important, that God mentions this before creation. We say because God creates and guides. الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى. Can God create without guiding? No. Pharaoh asked Musa and Harun, Man rabbukuma ya Musa? Who is your Lord? Musa said, Rabbuna alladhi a'ta kulla shay'in khalqahu thumma hada. Okay? Our Lord is the one who created everything and then guided. So, if God was not going to guide, he would not have created. It's like, for example, if you are not going to make a building strong and equipped enough to serve the purpose, you don't create a building. What's the point of creating a building that cannot be useful? Yeah? You do something when you are sure that you can complete the job and reach the purpose. Allah created us for a purpose. If it was not going to happen all the way to the end, he would not have created us. So he would not create us without guidance. Okay? Like, I'm not going to create a school without teachers and books. Is any wise person creating a school without teacher and books? What do you want to do? You want to just keep the children in classrooms without teacher and books? That would be like a prison then. A school without teacher and book is like a prison. Okay? So, God creates so that He guides. Therefore, ta'aleem is so important that comes before creation. Because that's the end, that's the ultimate purpose, or something near ultimate purpose. Then here, we also mentioned the beginning of revelation to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When Rasulullah was in the cave of Hira, of course it's not a cave, but it's like a big rock creating a little space. It's not like a cave that you go inside the mountain, you know. So when Jibreel came to the Rasulullah for the first time and said, you know, Iqra, okay? First of all, said Iqra. Iqra is a matter of reading a text. The text doesn't need to be on the paper, can be in your mind or heart, but it has to be a text. In Arabic, we don't use qira'ah for someone who has an idea and explains his idea. Iqra must be always something which is in the form of writing. Okay? Even if you read it by heart, but it has to be a text. Okay? A writing. And writing needs knowledge. And reading also needs knowledge. To write and to read needs knowledge. Okay? So Allah didn't say to the Prophet, just ibda bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Start with the name of your Lord. He said, iqra. So this shows reading is very important. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم. Your Lord is the most honorable. Why? Pardon? Because الذي علم بالقلم. So because he's a teacher, he's the most honorable. You know, Quran says that those who have knowledge and those who have no knowledge, they are not equal. Do you remember the ayah? Which ayah says, هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون? Are those who know and those who don't know the same? They are not the same. Those who know are higher. Okay? The Quran also says, إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم. The most honorable of you are those who are more pious. Therefore, my idea is, I always say, in my understanding, there are two main reasons for people being upgraded. One is taqwa, one is knowledge. Do you know any other thing that can make a person better? Other than taqwa and knowledge. ethnicity, race, family, all can be, in the eyes of people, give you some position or lower your position. But in the sight of Allah, these are not meaning anything as far as your personality is concerned. The main thing is your taqwa, which includes your iman and practices, whatever, and knowledge. And it is very interesting that actually taqwa and knowledge come together. Ittaqullah wa yu'allimkumullah. If you are pious, Allah will teach you. So, inna akramakum indallahi atqakum at the same time means inna akramakum indallahi atqakum wa a'lamukum. The most honorable of you are those who are more pious and more knowledgeable. يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات. Allah raises those of you who have iman, and then those who have knowledge, Allah raises them in ranks. So Allah Ta'ala says first, based on iman, people are positioned. Then after that, based on the level of their knowledge. So mu'mineen, then among mu'mineen who has more knowledge goes higher. Okay? Yes. Yes. This is why I am saying taqwa first, then knowledge. Knowledge before taqwa is not knowledge. By practicing what you know. So, if what you know changes you to better, this is knowledge. If what you know doesn't change you to better, this is jahl. This is ignorance. This is confusion. This is hijab. So, it's very important that knowledge should lead to practice, to becoming better. Do what you know. If you know something is good, do it. If you know something is bad, don't do it. Don't ignore your knowledge. Don't act like someone who doesn't know. Yes. Yes. So it means you are ignoring your knowledge. So what's the difference between you and someone who doesn't know? You are even worse. Because someone who doesn't know has excuse. So if we train ourselves, it's difficult, but we have to train ourselves. That whatever we know, we don't ignore it. We act upon our knowledge. Yes, if I know someone has done something bad to me, I can ignore it. If there are problems, I mean anything that I know that I should do or I shouldn't do. This knowledge has to be taken seriously. We have to implement it. We have to practice it. Okay? So, if I tell you a secret, okay? How can you make the world as you like? How can you make the people around as you like?
I have to work on myself. Change my mind.
If you want to make the world and people around you as you like, make yourself as you know that you should be. if you can make sure that you listen to your aql, then people would be like what you want. People be what you like at that stage, not now. Because at that stage, also your expectations from people will be wise. Okay? Right now, you may have bad, sometimes, or not good expectation. But if you follow your aql, then you see people would be very pleasing. Hadith says, Man abadallah, abadallahu lahu kulla shay. Whoever serves Allah, Allah will make everything serve him. And Allah would give you above your expectations. وَآتَاهُ اللَّهُ فَوْقَ أَمَانِهِ وَكِفَايَتِهِ. Something like this. So, if you want to change the world, you don't need to change millions of people. Change yourself. And the thing is here, you cannot then, blame anyone if you are not successful. Because you have everything to change yourself. Who are the people who have great impact on others? Some people have irresistible power, irresistible attraction. Why? Because they have a strong willpower. Because they have listened to their aql. They have a strong willpower to listen to their aql. Then other people also find the same attraction. But if I am not myself doing what I know, if I am many times making decisions and then I fail, how do I expect people to respect to my ideas? You understand? So, the key for success is in your hand. Don't lose it and use it. Okay? Use that key.